What is up, people, and welcome back to the channel. Right, so as you can see from today's description, we need to have a talk. And we need to have a talk about Big Blue. What are we going to do? Because I'm sort of in two minds what to do with the car. Yes, we need to figure out what's wrong with the diff. Quaif has got back to me about the diff. They've given me a list of things I have to try out before they want to know. It's basically, when you tell them you've got an issue, they will give you a list of 4 things. On the one side, it's got what you need to do, and the other side should be the outcome. And if the outcome's different to what they say, it helps them figure out what's the matter with the diff. So we've got to do that anyway. But that's not a big issue. It's just a diff. You know what I mean? It's just what failed. But what I want to talk about is where we go from now with the car. Where do we go, as in what is possible for us to do to bring those lap times down? Right, let's get out of a chat, shall we? Right, so with Big Blue, what we can do, what we think's worth doing, and what we can afford. They're the main things I'm working through. Mainly to what I can afford. But Big Blue, she's 1300 booster, and to get anything else out of it, I've got to spend a lot of money. Now, you all remember the turbo option. I actually sold that engine on because I think a turbo would be good, but I think we're going to overpower the drivetrain in this car. As in, the chain is too short, the area is too small, and I'm literally just going to kill chains like it's going out of fashion. Also, there's only so much power you can put through these front wheels, and I think that engine is a 450 horsepower package. It ran at 250 horsepower, like 7 psi. It's going to love spinning up these wheels. So I think what we need to do is go lighter, which is one of the other reasons I sold the engine. But what I did do is I kept all the wiring loom, all the ECU, anything to do with the electronics, the digital dash, the fuel pump, the fuel pressure regulator, that's already on the car. I kept all of that. I just sold the bare engine with the turbo on it, basically. So the ECU is 9A4, same what's in the Z car now, but it's an upgrade for this car. Got the Digi Dash on it, so that's an upgrade. The wiring loom is the latest spec loom than the MBE loom I've got, so that can go in the car. So I kept the good bits and sold the engine for the same as what I brought it all for. So I'm happy with that. So that money has gone towards the new car. And I say new car because I think I've come to the decision, I think we need to space frame it because she's too heavy. So what I think I'm going to do is do some mods that I wanted to do. It's like, that engine is as low as I can go, right? Because 1, it's got a standard sump on it, and 2, the throttle bodies stick out the bonnet. Well, I know that RLM sell a 45-degree set of throttle bodies. So if we got a set of those, that would put the throttle bodies under the bonnet. So straight away, save 4 inches off the height. Then if we drop a, say an SBD or an RLM dry sump kit on this car, that gives me room at the bottom. So then what I might be able to do is move the engine forward and down, because if I rebuild this car into a space frame, it's going to be a jackknife front end, because I like the look of the old school. So I might be able to come forward, down, which will then allow us to have enough room at the back to try and design a drive box, so we can ditch the chain altogether, because I want to try and get away from the chain drive. I'd much rather have a constant mesh drive system on this car. And the only ones you can buy are Quaifs, and they are horrendous money, and it won't fit in the car. So that's something we're going to have to try and design around. as in for the car, this car itself, I'm going to try and keep this car as complete as possible. I'm not going to sell it yet because I do love my steel body. I love the car. This is the longest I ever owned one, I think. So it'll just be stripped as much as I need, and then I'll try and put the rest of it in storage because I'm out of space in here. So what we're going to do, we're going to go space frame. I am very tempted to go beam axle rear end. My friend Lee Jones, who has got if he was anyone who was at Fastest Mini, his estate was there. He's got a old, I'd say it was started off its life as a Maguire. I'll pop in a picture of him for you now to see it, what it used to look like. So that was the car. That was built by Phil Hepworth, I think his name was. Phil Hepworth, I think. Don't quote me, it's close to that. He used to do work for a lot of McLarens, so the suspension on that car is amazing. But he used to run a beam axle. And I like the idea because of it being old school. So I'd like to replicate that. But I'd also like to use my rear end so I can see how my rear end works basically, and maybe go, I have got a disc brake conversion there for the rear, but if I'm taking a lot of weight out of the back, I don't really want to put discs on anyway. So I want to toy with the idea. I want to make me a chassis that's going to be different to the last one. All my chassis are slightly different, so maybe incorporate some of the Maguire style one I did, the front end, and maybe step away from cones and go to coilovers. Get my friend at Protec Shocks on board, see if they want to come in on the job and help me out with a really good set of shocks, because this engine could probably do with a service, because I've ripped the shit out of it for 6 years and I've never had it looked over. And I did see one of the photos. That looks a little bit of smoky coming out of the exhaust, don't it? And it's never done that before. So that needs looking at. Brakes will probably go on the new one unless I try and design my own. A little bit different to this kit, but I can do it cheaper than I can buy this kit or a CAD kit. Because I've got friends who are really good on computers, and the parts, I may know somebody who can get the parts cheaper for me. So that's something we need to look in. The inside, everything's going to stay. Pretty much inside, everything's just going to stay in there. Because I don't need any. I'll probably keep the fire extinguisher, probably the seat. Because I like the seat, and my harness is new. Everything else we're going to make new. So for this car, we'll stay pretty much body, back, complete. Fuel tank, everything's going to stay in it. Because I'll get Price Engineering, who did the radiator for this. I'll get him to make me a radiator, fuel tank, surge tank. I'll just send the car and say, make all that for me. You know, I've already got the body being made at Custom Minis. I've ordered a Maguire body, the same as the last one I had, my black one. But I've also ordered a van body. Now, we can either go jackknife round like this one, or a jackknife van. I think, well, it'll be a van, but it'll have windows in the back because it has to for regulations to be in the race. So we could then potentially have a jackknife booster powered van, which would be quite good. They're 4 inches longer, so my chassis table will have to be moved, which will mean we'll have to move the garage around, because I can just fit a normal Mini on there. So if the van's 4 inches longer, it ain't going to fit on my table with it against the wall. So I can just get the body and a chassis on. Do you know what I mean? So the chassis will go on, but the body will be hitting the wall. So I think that's what we're going to do. It will either be a jackknife like my first black one I did, or a van, but I think it's going to be a space frame. I've already got my tube, got my brackets, my radius arm mounts, everything's under there to get cracking, really, to be honest. So I think that is a quick update on the Busa. We're going to build a new race car, and it's going to be lighter. Because it's lighter, it will be faster. And if we can design a drive box, it should be more reliable. The only thing we might have to work on is the gear ratios, because I don't want to, with the gear ratio that's in the gearbox now and the change drive that's on there now, it worked well. But I think, say at Snetterton, I will limit out. I will run out of gear. So we need to make sure we get the ratio, because we have to have all the gears made from scratch. Crown wheel gear, and we're going to have a gear made that goes where the sprocket goes, and then we're going to have an idler gear made to join those two together, which is why I need the engine to come forward to make the space at the back. But yeah, that's your little update. We've got a year just under, but I have got a couple of people wanting chassis. And because I need to earn the money to build the car, because we're not going to sell this one, I'm going to need some more funds to buy some nice snazzy bits. Because I'd like, maybe, if I don't do the beam axle, I want a set of CAD arms. And I'd like a set of CAD hubs. I've got a set of CAD hubs in there, but my mate won't sell them for love of the money. So, you know, that's 1,200 quid. And CAD don't do deals. So, yeah, that's a quick update on where we are on the Busa. And I think where we're going to be with the Busa. Yeah, well, there you go. Thanks for watching. And like and subscribe if you don't mind. I'll see you in the next one, people.
Yeah.